Hello, Jet Setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com. Like you, I'm stuck at home. And that got me thinking, when will we travel again? And I could sort of sit here and think about it myself, or I could ask you. So I put out a survey. Honestly, I expected 50 responses. I cannot believe it. I got more than 4,200. So I want to share the results of that survey with you. If it's something you'd like me to continue doing to sort of see how sentiments change over time, leave me a comment below with that. And if you have questions you think I should ask in the future, leave that as a comment too. I'd welcome that feedback. But let's get into it.
Who wants to look at boring slides for an entire video? Not me, that's for sure. So here's some footage from my video about the world-famous island hopper. I'll link both to that video and the unedited takeoff and landing footage in the description below. Also, as a disclosure, I'm not a data scientist, a survey expert, or a statistician. I don't even know how to spell statistician, actually. But I still think there's some valuable and interesting data here, so I wanted to share it. We've canceled trips to Santiago, Easter Island, Tahiti, Dallas, London, and Lisbon. We're not alone. Looks like 70% of you had to do the same thing, and that's disappointing. It's also led to massive job losses and the disappearance of some airlines altogether, not to mention aircraft types like the MD-88 from Delta's fleet. I'm certainly not an expert in airline economics, but I can say this is all pretty disappointing. I haven't booked any travel in a while after canceling all of that other stuff, and that's a fairly painful reality to face. But from my seat, most of my work can be done via video conference, and it makes sense to me to put off my leisure travel, at least for now. That said, looks like about 20% of you have booked travel since March 15th. That's 12% who booked domestic trips and another 8% who are planning to travel internationally. 80% of you are sitting in my boat. Now, here's an edit for a future survey, if there is a future survey, and that's up to you. Let me know in the comments, of course. I wonder what kind of travel you booked. Maybe some of you have found cheap fares and are booking trips that you hope to take, or I know some of you, many of you in fact, are business travel whose work may be essential. And if that's the case, thank you for your service. Now, I asked how long you thought it would be before we traveled like we did before the current crisis. And this was a fascinating question. Nearly 40% of you believe it'll be more than 12 months. I tend to agree with you. I think masks are going to be the norm. Several airlines are now requiring passengers to wear them, in fact. I also think catering, in-flight amenities, and lounges are likely to look different for some time to come. The biggest change passengers seem to think they'll make is wiping down their seats prior to sitting down. Now think of the impact of boarding time, especially if airlines stop their current practice of blocking middle seats. I imagine that's going to happen sometime. If every passenger is wiping down their seat before taking it, that's surely going to slow down the turnaround times for flights, which will add additional costs to airlines and, naturally, impact schedules. I also asked what steps you want to see airlines take, and this was fascinating. I'm sure airlines are doing their own surveys, but if they're seeing what I am, they've got their work cut out for them. Now, that said, a lot of what you've requested is already being done. Airlines have increased the frequency and thoroughness of their cleaning in a very robust way. But many of you are asking airlines to provide sanitizer and masks for every passenger or at every seat. There were a lot of calls for airlines to simply eliminate middle seats altogether, and many of you indicated a willingness to pay more for that premium. Now, a few of you even said you'd be upgrading to a more premium cabin in order to have more space around you when it's time to fly again. There were a number of responses requesting temperature checks or even blood samples prior to boarding. We'll see if that happens. A few of you suggested contactless boarding, which would mean not passing a passport, boarding pass, or cell phone to a gate agent. But the overwhelming number of responses were geared toward asking airlines to do more thorough cleaning between flights. And to my earlier point, I've heard reports from friends who have had to travel that they've never smelled such clean airplanes. As I mentioned, I asked when you think we travel like we used to. But I also asked when you would feel comfortable traveling domestically and internationally again. International travel is high on my priority list. I really miss it. But it looks like it's going to take some time before most of us feel comfortable taking those steps again. 48% of you say you won't be comfortable crossing international borders until your country lifts the restrictions you're currently under. What I thought was most interesting on this point, however, was that while only 16% of you are willing to travel internationally now, 34% are willing to fly domestically. I suspect some of that difference is driven by a reluctance to have to endure the quarantine requirements some countries place on foreign visitors. Indeed, I wonder whether some countries will allow citizens of other nations in at all for a period of time. Places like Argentina and the Czech Republic are discussing the possibilities that their borders may remain locked for up to a year. If you'd like to be among the first to know about data like this and research I might be doing in the future, please be sure to head over to greenergrass.com and sign up for our email list. There'll be an opportunity to share news, events, ideas, and, again, research like this. But if you think I should conduct a similar survey like this again to see how things may have changed, let me know in the comments, and while you're at it, suggest any questions you think I should add in the future. And between now and the next time, see you in the sky.